What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Stretch 4 podcast. I'm your host, Peter Tran, and on the line I got my pick and pop partner, Josh Cohen. How you doing?
Ready for All-Star Weekend.
Yay! Not really. The banger in the paint, Rajan Walia, how you feeling?
I'm kind of the same as Josh. I'm excited for All-Star, but I don't know, it didn't have the same allure as when I was younger.
Oh, it's definitely for the kids, man. It's not for us.
I'm still a kid at heart, though.
Yeah. How do you feel about...
If we actually get together on Sunday to watch the game, we should do a drinking game where every time they mess up the rules for the new All-Star layout, you take a drink. And then by then, we're all going to be dead.
Dude, you're going to be dead by like 9 o'clock.
Come on, after the first quarter.
After the Kobe tribute.
Yeah. Oh, the score resets. Oh, no. What? How does that work?
Too much, man. Just a quick update. I'm pretty sure everyone's heard by now, but Damian Lillard looks like he's going to be out for the All-Star weekend. That's a damn shame. He strained his groin last night on Wednesday, and he instantly said that he was out, so he's not even messing around with this. I don't blame the guy either. I would sit out everything.
Yeah, but I wonder if he's still going to perform, because wasn't he scheduled to rap?
I think he said after the game that he was still going to be there, so I'm assuming he's still going to do his performance, but he's not going to play in the games, and he's probably going to be out for at least 2 to 3 weeks based on his injury.
How bad is it? Did they say?
I think it was like a grade 1 or 2. Yeah, so I think normally for those types, Dame's obviously a beast, so maybe he'll come back earlier, but normally it's 2 to 3 weeks for that type of thing. But, if they're out of the playoff race, they might just keep him out for longer, which they're probably going to be.
Wow. Playoffs without Dame. How about that?
But the schedule really messed them up as well. They had 5 games in 7 days.
There's a lot of that. Like, you see a lot less back-to-backs now, but there's always a lot of, 4 and 5, 5 and 7 kind of weeks. It's weird. Anyways, let's get started. I want to talk about trade deadline deals that went through last week. Obviously, we've had a bit of time to sort of go through everything. We've seen new guys on new teams, and we should really talk about it. I want to see what you guys think about, Andre Iguodala with Miami and Jay Crowder with Miami. Did they fit? Did they not fit? And inversely, nobody on Memphis, I guess? Josh, what do you think?
Sorry, nobody on Memphis? What do you mean nobody on Memphis?
Who did Memphis get?
Well, Winslow hasn't played yet.
Yeah.
Oh, and they cut those 2 guys, too. So, they didn't cut them. They traded James Johnson, but they cut Deion Waiters. And I'm assuming he's probably going to go to the Lakers now. But overall, in terms of what the Heat have done, Iguodala is averaging 21 minutes a game. He's averaging a very Iguodala type line: 4 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, and he's come back in a stretch where the Heat have hit the tougher part of their schedule. They've lost 4 out of 5 games overall. They've been 1 and 2 since the trade. They had a W in Golden State. They lost at the Clippers, at Sacramento, at Portland, at Utah. It's all tough games. And they're now 4.5 games behind Toronto for the second place seed, and they're 2.5 games behind Boston for the third seed. And they're currently number 4, and right now they'd be playing Philadelphia in the first round. The one thing from that trade that's obviously really been a positive for them, it's not really Iguodala, it's Crowder. He's actually averaged 18 points, 7 rebounds, 2 steals on 59% from the field and 60% from 3, which, is obviously going to go down as time passes on because he's very hot and cold. But he's been really good for them. He's 4 threes a game, too.
I'm sorry, can you repeat his line again?
Yeah.
Repeat that line again. 18 points?
So Crowder's averaged 18 points, 7 rebounds, 2 steals, 4 3-pointers per game on 59% from the field and 60% from 3 overall.
I just wanted you to really embrace how well Jay Crowder is doing on this team.
Yeah, well, next week he's going to average 3 points on 17% from the field and 10% from 3. It's only a matter of time.
I'm not going to say that his numbers are going to stay up. Obviously, they will trickle down, but I think he still will be an effective piece on this team. I think he's not the most well-liked player on his court and his antics, but I think he fits in with his skill set, and he's just another good body that Miami has, and I think most teams would like to have a body like him in their rotation. So I think Iguodala, too, I know you mentioned his very Iguodala-esque line. I think he will pick it up. I don't think he'll ever put up like big numbers, but I think his impact is yet to be seen. It's just when I look at this trade and I see like the Miami, and I actually ended up watching that Miami Clippers game, and the one thing they really do miss is that shooting at the 4 position. And even last night when they lost to Utah, like Derek Jones Jr. I think was playing the 4. He's not I think he put up 0 shots, and that's what they were missing. That was the difference between them potentially beating Utah and losing. So I think obviously the Heat have some good bodies. I think they're better for it. And Memphis, we don't know yet.
I mean, Derek Jones actually played the 5 in the fourth quarter because, teams against Utah are now taking the template that Houston has laid out, where you have 5 smaller players in the court, and then you just switch everything, and you put a smaller guy in Gobert because he's not really going to hurt you on post-ups. He might hurt you on the boards a little bit, but ultimately you're trading that for possible turnovers and, playing quicker. But does Miami have too many guys now? Because they were down 2 rotation players, 1 starter in Leonard, and then Tyler Hero was out yesterday too. So it seems like now they have about 11 or 12 guys that are expecting minutes, which could become a problem later on. And all these guys are sort of, on the same level, I think, overall as rotation players.
Yeah, I think they have 9. Like 9
I think they have more than
players
that. I mean, they played 9 guys yesterday and they're missing, those 2 guys.
Yeah, but like if you just look at their lineup, and I'm just going off the top of my head, you have Kendrick Nunn, Jimmy Butler, Bam, who are guaranteed locks to start, and then at the 4 they play with. At the 5 they play with Myers Leonard, and then generally it's Duncan Robinson. So those are the 5, and then they have Hero, Iguodala, Crowder. If you really want to go big, like stretch it, then maybe you could say like Kelly Olynyk, but I don't know who else really. And Dragic, sorry. So I said Dragic. Yeah, I included 8 Dragic. I didn't include Olynyk.
Yeah, I guess Olynyk's the odd man out, and then maybe obviously Leonard. I think in the playoffs he's not going to play as much either. So I think they're going to downsize, but it's going to be tough for them to downsize if they're playing Philadelphia in the first round too.
Yeah, and I don't think Derek Jones Jr. is going to get many minutes down the stretch as well.
I think he will. He's been a mainstay with their lineup because they play a lot of zone, and he's at the top of the zone, and he's a disruptor. He's like Pascal Siakam at the top of the zone. He's all over the place.
Yeah, I think Iguodala might slot in there.
It's going to be the 2 white guys that fall back mostly, right? It's going to be Olynyk and Myers Leonard who lose all their minutes in the playoffs. Let's be real. You just will run Bam at the 5 and then let him match up against all the bigs, and then just play small ball all around him with Jones at the 4. Sort of have to.
And then you have Iguodala and Crowder kind of playing the 3 together, Butler at the 2, and then Dragic and Nunn and Hero. Throw in Hero somewhere in there. And they have like 7 or 8 players, and I think the nice thing is they have flexibility in their lineup. The problem is they don't, like you mentioned, they don't really have like the established 5 that are like the clear starters, and so it might be hard for some players to get used to that bench role, or some players used to like going from starting to sitting on the bench to starting again.
Well, it hasn't been an issue thus far, right? Like Coach Spo has done such a good job this whole year of just putting in guys when they're hot. So why would that necessarily need to change in the playoffs when you still have your established stars with Bam and Butler, and now Iguodala? Everyone knows Iguodala is there for the playoffs. Yeah. So why do we think it's going to be a concern for young guys like Hero or Duncan Robinson or Kendrick Nunn to look for minutes in the playoffs when they're like rookies or second-year players? There's no way that these guys are going to think that they have established themselves enough to warrant like full starter minutes.
Yeah, I'm just not sure if they have enough guys that you can trust in the playoffs, because they have, the 2 rookies obviously, and they have Duncan Robinson who's in his 2nd year. And those guys are going to be liabilities on defense too, especially if they're not hitting their shots. I don't think they're going to play as much. And then if you're playing Iguodala and Crowder more, then you have some shooting issues. So I don't know. I mean, ever since the trade, I don't really like the fit overall of this team, especially against like the upper echelon teams that are going to be playing either Indiana or Philadelphia in the first round. And there's 6, really good teams in the East, and 2 of those teams are not going to be in the second round. So even though Miami might get home court advantage, I'm not sure I would still take them over Philadelphia or even Indiana.
Yeah, but I think the key thing is like you don't like them after this trade. Like I think they only got better. Like Winslow never played, and then James Johnson and Dion Waiters were riding the bench. Like they weren't even rotation pieces. So You remove those three guys from their team, and you added Iguodala, who, again, he's still a bit unproven this year. Like, he's coming back from like 8 or 9 months off. And then obviously Jay Crowder, who we both, I think all of us know that he's not the most consistent player, but I think he can play good, and there's the potential there.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't really been convinced about this team all year. I mean, I think that they just might be a regular season team. They might just be the Houston of the East.
They very well could be, except I think their potential is still higher than that.
I don't know.
Really?
I mean,
if you put this team up against... They're going to be playing
these more experienced guys. I just don't think they have enough shooting on the court, because normally Iguodala and Crowder are low-level, type 3-point shooters. They don't shoot a lot of them, and when they do, they shoot, 35% or less. And then Jimmy Butler's been at 23% pretty much the entire year. So that's three guys in your lineup that are probably going to be playing crunch time minutes, and then Bam doesn't shoot threes, and then you got Dragic, who doesn't take a lot of spot-up threes. So I don't like their offense going into playoffs.
Playoffs don't really rely on threes as much as the regular season does.
Yes, they do.
Not to the same extent, man. It's about execution.
If you look at the teams that make it through the playoffs, especially the last 5 years, they've been the highest 3-point attempt teams and 3-point made teams that have actually gone through.
That's not fair. You have teams like Golden State who have done it for the past 5 years. They're like
they skew the data.
System.
And also Houston's been, obviously, their system has been built like that, and they're very good at it. But I think kind of what you were saying, Peter, it's like this team is like the role players will have a little diminished role in the playoffs, but if they're hot, they're going to play. And I think Miami, even if like they got the best production out of all of their players, I think they would find it tough against a Philadelphia. I think Indiana, Miami would be a very interesting season, especially if Oladipo starts picking it up, just because Indiana is such a fundamental team and they'll slow down the pace and they're well coached. So I think Miami's going to find it tough regardless of who they play and how well they're playing. And it's just a matter of getting more experience for these young guys.
Y'all bugging. I think I would take Miami over Philly right now. I'd probably take them over Indiana because Indiana doesn't have that much experience either.
Indiana has more shooting, though, and Indiana, I think, has more guys you can trust in the playoffs.
Really?
No, I don't. I don't agree with that, but I think Indiana is just like a tough team to beat. Like they're just like kind of like pesky, and I think if
so is Miami though. Pacers, that's the same. They're very similar, like teams in that aspect. But who can you trust on Indiana other than Brogdon and Oladipo? Sabonis.
Yeah.
So you have 3 guys. Yeah. And after that, you're relying on Jeremy Lamb, Miles Warren. Turner, who's been T.J. Warren, who's never been in the playoffs. I don't know, man.
Yeah, but I think that series would be close. Like it wouldn't be like Miami dominating. Like I think that series could go 6 or 7 games.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that series would be determined on home court advantage, but I think with Philadelphia, Philadelphia definitely beat them. Even though Philadelphia is going through, a season where they can't win any games on the road, I think on playoff time, things are going to change for them because they're built for the playoffs.
I'm not going to lie to you. I think Philadelphia would melt against Jimmy Butler's eyes when they see him. Like he's just going to death stare Simmons and he's just going to collapse.
Yeah, and then if somebody who loves chaos, that would be the best result because then you'd hear all the talk about who's going to be traded from Philadelphia with Simmons and Embiid. And if they lose in the first round, like one of those guys is definitely going to be traded.
Oh, a trade and a coaching change.
Yeah, coach for sure. Coach gone first.
No doubt.
And GM change maybe too.
That would be crazy. So. All right, moving on. The D'Angelo Russell for your former number 1 pick, Andrew Wiggins. Josh, what's your favorite player in the league?
Clearly, love Andrew Wiggins. Yeah.
Why wouldn't you?
Guy never even plays for Team Canada. What a bum. So, with Russell, he's averaging 24 points, 8 assists on 47% from the field, 47% from 3. So he's gone off to a good start so far with the Timberwolves. But in the 2 games that he's played, they've lost both games. And they've been really porous on defense, which was to be expected. They're fun to watch now, though, which is nice. And they're 1-2 overall since the trade happened. They won the game at home against the Clippers where D'Angelo didn't play. And they had a bunch of guys that just went off in that game. I think they scored 142 points or so in that game. But against Toronto and against Charlotte, the same type of issues as people thought would sort of happen were brought up in those games where teams are just picking on D'Angelo Russell, especially in the Toronto game. Down the stretch, they just had Pascal Siakam as a ball handler running pick and roll with whoever was, being guarded by Russell, and Russell just had no idea what to do. I mean, him and Cat try really hard, but they just don't get it defensively. And hopefully in the next year or so, they can get some veterans around those guys like, maybe like a Paul Millsap type, where they've been in the NBA for a long time, that can provide defense around them, but still be able to shoot and provide some offense as well, that can just fit around those guys. Because right now, around that team, they don't really have any good bench pieces, especially. They have like a G League bench. But overall, it's been fun to watch this team since the trade has been made, but they have a lot of work to do.
How do you feel about my boy Juancho Hernan Gomez and Malik Beasley coming to this team? I think they're the more exciting parts than Russell,
really well,
to be honest. Yeah. Beasley's been on fire.
Yeah, I mean, he's averaged, I think, 22 points and 6 rebounds, and he shot really well from 3. Juancho, he's been okay. I'm not sure if they're going to bring him back depending on what his market is, since not a lot of teams have cap space. And he is restricted, so they can match any offer, obviously, but how much do you really want to pay Juancho, and is he a starter in the NBA?
No, I'd give Juancho like 6 or 7 million.
Yeah,
he's a good
be a nice bench piece as a 7th or 8th guy that can play the 3 or 4. Because he can shoot, and he's somewhat quick. He can guard half decently well, but he's not great.
No, he's a little slow. Like, I think his body moves quickly, but his mind is just like a step behind. Like, everything just processes a bit slower, which is unfortunate because it's the same thing with Cat. Cat's incredibly fast, except like he just doesn't get defensive movement that well.
Yeah, and I think that they need a guy next to Cat that can really clamp down on the other team's best big guy. I mean, he doesn't have to be, a 6'10" guy, but they need somebody that's active that can, play around Cat and just take the pressure off him on defense and sort of be the anchor of that defense instead of Cat, because unless Cat just starts to get it in his, 7th season?
Yeah.
It's hard to see that happening now, but, I mean, he's so talented. No. He has quick feet, too. It just, he doesn't really see the game at a level where you think he would at this point.
What about a Taj Gibson?
Now, the Knicks prize asset? I don't think so.
Tried that.
Bring him back. Yo, Cat had his best defensive year when Taj was there. Come on.
I think Cat had his best defensive year with KG. So maybe just bring KG out of retirement. Maybe that'll get Cat.
Yeah, why not? He just needs someone to yell at him constantly, like Jimmy Butler.
Yeah, dust him off.
Raj, what do you think about Russell, his fit on this team?
I think the fact that Cat's happy is better for the Timberwolves because, again, this is a small market team that's going to struggle to attract the big free agents, so they want to keep Cat happy. And I think with D'Angelo and Cat, like, they're one more, like, they don't even need a star, but they need a very solid, consistent player away from being at least competitive in most of the games they play. I think it's a little unfortunate because I think Minnesota's played 3 games since the trade, and 1 game D'Angelo didn't play, and I think last night Cat didn't play. So it's really hard to like judge how they're doing with both of them on the court together. But I think Beasley's fit in well. I think if they were able to get a player, potentially like a player who can stretch the floor a little, provide a bit of shooting and defense, like obviously a 3-and-D guy like Covington. There's the joke there, but
they need somebody bigger than Covington, though. Somebody who can guard, big guys and get rebounds, like Serge Ibaka or PJ Tucker, one of those types.
How about Derek Favors?
Yeah, I don't know. I think he'll be able to shoot the 3.
Yeah, and again, I wouldn't even be surprised if the thing is their team's very young and they're in a rebuild, but they think they'll have enough cap space to go after one player on like a 3-year deal and maybe overpay them a bit just to be competitive. And it'd be interesting to see if they're ever in the running for like a Danilo Gallinari. Just because like obviously you'd be terrible on defense, but you'd have a bit better shooting and better spacing.
Yeah, who do you think is the 3rd highest paid player on this roster right now? Obviously you have Russell and Towns as 1 and 2. But who do you think is the 3rd highest player? Josh? Roger said James Johnson.
Johnson's a good guess. Trying to think of what else they have on the bench. There's not a lot of guys left. think there was like a stat that showed that like I think Okogie is like the second highest tenured player there. He's been there for 2 years now, and they got rid of literally everyone else the last 2 years.
Yeah, Okogie is the second or third second longest tenured player with like 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, I'm gonna say Johnson.
Evan Turner.
Oh, he's still on the team.
Evan freaking Turner, and then Alan Crabb. Remember Alan Crabb? Oh my god!
But all those contracts
are making 18.
But all those contracts are off the book this year, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, those two are off, and then James Johnson is after that at 15, and then 16 next year. Yeah, James Johnson is a player option. He's obviously going to pick up.
Yeah, but I think they're going to be able to pick up one other player this offseason. They might overpay, especially because they have the space, and they're going to look to win and get into the playoffs. I think that's the team's goal. Like, they're not championship or bust, but they just want to make the playoffs.
I think they already have the guy they're going to overpay. It's going to be Malik Beasley, man. I think they're going to give him like 12 or 15
him,
a year.
But they need somebody else with Cat. Yeah. That's going to be the guy that gets overpaid big time.
And they're going to...
Why do they need? They have James Johnson.
Johnson's actually played pretty well since coming over.
Yeah. James Johnson is actually kind of the guy that you're describing. Someone who can stretch the floor, cover other bigs, is a defensive anchor. I mean, if James Johnson is in shape, he might be that guy that you're actually talking about, to be honest.
The problem is he's so inconsistent. That's why he's not a starter. Like, in Toronto, he was amazing for some of these games, and then the next game he'd just be an absolute zero on defense, and he wouldn't be able to get to the basket on offense. He just looks slow at times. I'm not sure what it is with him, because he's obviously in really good shape if he's able to play for Miami. And what is he, Taekwondo master? What was it again?
A black belt.
Muay Thai or something.
Yeah, I think Taekwondo.
Yeah, I don't know what it is with him. I'm not sure if he just doesn't care, but he should be a lot better than he is.
It doesn't matter, man. He's in Minnesota. I don't think they expect anything more than that.
Yeah, that's true. But I think he's a decent bench piece going into next year.
Yeah, I think overall with this trade for Minnesota, I think it's a step in the right direction. Although maybe the cost was a bit high. Like they got rid of a lot of players that hadn't worked out for them, and they got a player who they can at least go forward with and keep Cat happy. So like you have Russell and Cat hopefully for the next 5-10 years in Minnesota, and then you have to build around those pieces, and now you know that those are the two pieces that you're going to build around, and it's not going to be Wiggins and Cat or Butler. Like, you have those two pieces, and then you just work around that.
Yeah, at least now their core makes sense, even though, there's a lot of skepticism as to whether it can work long-term with those two guys being your top two dudes. But, they're really going to have to hit it right this offseason and next to get guys that work around them so they're not the worst defensive team in the history of basketball next year.
Yeah, that might be it. But I'm honestly more interested in the other side of the trade. I think Wiggins has been getting a lot of hate. Obviously, I think he's been getting a lot of criticism by the hype around him coming into the league, and then obviously him getting overpaid, and then lots of just saga around him. And I don't think he's a terrible player. I think he has some flaws in his games, and it has to revolve around intangibles. But I think so far, what I've seen, I think he's played 4 games for the Golden State Warriors, and I'll let Josh take it away from here, but I think he's not looked that bad.
I mean, stats-wise, he's played well. Golden State's 0-3 since the trade, which is to be expected because they're terrible. But he's averaged 23, 5-4, same type of numbers as he did with Minnesota. He's been a lot more efficient, though. He's shooting 58% from the field, 53% from 3. But like Jay Crowder, those numbers will probably go down next week, big time. But again, it's not about this year with, this trade, obviously. He's going to have to fit into, when Steph and Clay come back. And see what they sort of are able to build around those 4 guys being hard capped. That's the biggest thing for them because, obviously in this offseason, they try to bring in a bunch of guys that they've now traded, in Robinson and Burks. And it's going to be really difficult to build a decent bench unless they just build from within with guys like, Jordan Poole and some of the guys they've drafted the last couple of years. So overall, Wiggins has played well since coming over, but does it matter? No. And will it matter until next year? No. So we really don't know what's going to happen from now on.
Yeah, but I think
Clay and Steph come back this year.
I mean, Steph's probably going to be back, mid-March, unless they just shut him down, which seems pretty likely at this point. Like, why would you bring him back?
I think they just want him to get a few reps. Like, he might not play on back-to-backs, or he might play like once or twice a week on like 25 minutes. But you want him to stay in game shape. You want him to just keep his intangibles fresh. Like, obviously the hand... Like,
wait a second. You actually think they want him to come back?
I think he will play.
I think he will play, but that's because Steph is just going to force their hand.
Yeah.
But ultimately, Golden State does not want him to come back and risk injury in a year where they're trying to tank.
They don't want him to come back. He will want to force himself back. Like, he's going to get himself back.
I meant he's going to play. I just think that there's going to be like a trade-off. Like, he's not going to play at the same level he wants to, because obviously Golden State doesn't see the purpose, but I think he will play. I think he'll play like 20, 25 minutes a game. Just keep himself fresh. And I think at that point he'll probably play 15 games, 10 to 15.
I think it's really, be a test for Bob Myers in this offseason to actually build a cohesive team when, again, you're card capped like this. It's really going to show whether or not he's that level of GM, up to the level of, like, a Masai Ujiri.
Yeah, but let's go through this roster real quick, actually, because I see where you're coming from, but I think they've already put themselves in that position because they've traded away a lot of their players that they knew they either couldn't re-sign or didn't fit in their plans, and they got some value back. And the expected starting lineup for them for next season is going to be probably Kevon Looney, Draymond Green, Andrew Wiggins, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson. And then off the bench, they're going to have Marquise Chris, Damian Lee, Pascal, their first-round draft pick, which is going to be very high. They're going to have Bowman and Jordan Poole, if I didn't mention him already. Like, that's probably going to be... That's going to be their, like...
one of the worst benches in the league, if not the worst.
But they're going to also have one of the top picks in the draft, probably top 4. And I think if you balance the minutes correctly, and you could probably get away with being like one of the bottom third, but not the worst bench.
Based on what you've said so far, that's going to be the worst bench in the NBA. But, if they keep developing this season, even though I don't like the guy, Marquise Chris has shown a lot of improvement this year.
Yeah,
if they're able to develop him and, Pascal, at least you have a front court that'll be able to take some pressure away from, Draymond and Kevon Looney playing 30-plus minutes a game. But the big thing is finding guys in the backcourt that are able to supplement those minutes. So, Steph and Klay don't have to play 35 minutes a game next year. But if they do, they're going to be in big trouble. They need to find veteran guards in the backcourt especially, so those guys don't have to play insane minutes next year in order for them to win.
Mm-hmm. They need Shabazz Napier and Jared Bayless.
Said nobody ever.
See, I think one thing that would be interesting is if they do end up getting one of the top draft picks in this year's draft, which apparently, according to hearing the trade deadline talks, is not a deep draft. But if they end up getting like James Wiseman or a player that maybe another team covets, they may be able to like swap that for one or two younger promising players or players that are just bench guys, and that could be another way that they move forward with that first round draft pick.
I think that's sort of likely too, because based on where Steph and Klay are in their careers, and Draymond as well, you would think that they're not going to want to wait on a first round pick that's not going to be good next year. Because most rookies that come into the league are not good, obviously. And especially when you're going into that role where you're going to be a bench player playing 15 and 20 minutes a game on that team, you're probably not going to be good right away because you're not going to be able to get your rhythm playing limited minutes. So I think a trade is likely for them. But it would be hilarious if they got LaMelo Ball. That'd be great.
Or if they got like James Wiseman, that would be great.
And then trade them for Andre Iguodala.
That would surprise nobody.
Full circle, my friend. All right. Next up, we have your Houston Rockets small ball lineup using Robert Covington at the 4 and PJ Tucker at the 5. It's actually worked pretty well, surprisingly enough, right, Josh?
Yeah, the Rockets are 6-3 since going small before the trade. They're 2-2 since the trade, but one of those games, Russell Westbrook sat out, obviously, and they got absolutely destroyed in Phoenix. But overall, the one game that they did lose with the full lineup, they lost on an insane buzzer beater where Bogdanovich hit 30-footer over two guys and still got fouled in the play and somehow knocked it down. But yeah, overall, I mean, it's working. I mean, it's going to be more difficult in the playoffs when teams are able to scout against that, in the days in between and find different ways to get through their quick switchy defense. I think the best way to go through that type of defense is with the guards, because a lot of teams are trying to post up guys like Covington and PJ Tucker, and then Houston just brings a guy from the backside and just double teams quickly. And then before you know it, you're, at 5 seconds left on the shot clock, and you're putting up a terrible shot against a quick defense, or you're just turning it over because you're just trying to force things too much. So I think as time goes along, teams are going to figure this lineup out. But so far, like you said, it is working, and, they're causing a lot of turnovers. They're shooting an insane amount of threes, obviously, and Covington's been good since coming there. He's averaged 12-6, his usual numbers, but he's averaging 2 blocks and 2 steals. And he's playing at the 5 a lot, too, which, is very interesting because he is quick. But usually he's not going to be able to guard bigger guys, but because Houston double teams so often, it's not been that big of an issue yet.
Yeah, I think the best thing I heard about this team is their nickname, the Pocket Rockets. And it's fitting because
that means something entirely different.
Yeah. But I think the thing with them is they're kind of a gimmick or like a trick offense, and I think one of the TNT guys mentioned it that like this is something that might work like 1 or 2 times in the regular season, but if you show a team this look in a playoff series, I think they're going to be able to figure it out and attack the weaknesses. And the problem is Houston is going to have no plan B. Like they're going all in on plan A, and I applaud them for it. Like I think they realized that Clint Capella wasn't a playoff performer. It wasn't someone who they could rely on in the playoffs, and he was useful in the regular season, but once it actually came down to the games that matter, he was going to ride the bench a bit, and they were going to go small anyway, so they decided to get a player in Robert Covington, and they're going all in on this strategy. It's interesting to watch. It's a little more entertaining than Harden dribbling it for like 20 seconds of the shot clock and then deciding to shoot or drive in, but
well, I mean, he still does that. The only difference is now that Russ is driving into the paint when Harden gets double-teamed, Capella's not there bringing his guy over. Russell just has like a wide-open lane to the basket unless you help off, and then you have a wide-open 3. So this trade was just about unleashing Russ, and Russ has really, played really well since the trade, obviously, since he's not shooting 3s anymore, and he's basically he's completing every single type of layup that you've ever imagined because he has so many opportunities getting to the basket.
Yeah, but I think one cool thing about this trade, and I think Peter can probably like speak to this, is this team is going to go as far as Russell Westbrook's shooting goes. Like not like just even his like elbow jumper. Like if that's hitting, then this team could go far. If he's shooting like below 40%, then the team's going to have issues.
I think it's more so about Harden. I mean, he hasn't really performed in the playoffs at any point besides, that 1 year on OKC where he hit that shot against San Antonio and he played pretty well overall in the playoffs.
Hold on. Has Russell Westbrook performed in the playoffs aside from that 1 year where they got to the finals?
Well, I'm a Russ hater, so I can't really speak to that because I'm just going to destroy him, which I don't want to do because he has had his moments in the playoffs.
What?
He played okay in the Miami series. He was pretty good for a couple of those games. He kept them in a lot of games.
Like I said, that 1 year where they made it to the finals.
Stop making me defend Russ.
Come on, man. No, be real. This team is going to be inevitably about how Westbrook and Harden do in the playoffs. Raj, you're right.
But which one more?
Equally. If Westbrook doesn't hit his jumper, no, man. If Westbrook's not hitting his
shots, you can't rely on Russ to be the creator, I don't think.
No, but you need him to hit shots. He's not going to be a creator. He's going to be a finisher. The point of all this is that if you're playing a defense that has a big man, let's say, let's not use Gobert because he's like the best big man in the league, but even someone like Jokic, who's just going to stand at the pin the whole time, Westbrook's got to hit open shots around him or just like consistently blow by. But if you're blowing by, you're going to have to stop, or you're going to have to get through every help defender that's coming at you at the same time.
That's the thing, though, with the small ball lineup, there is no help defenders.
Oh, there will be in the playoffs. They're not just going to let Russell Westbrook take like 40 layups a game.
Nah, I mean, it depends who's guarding him, right? Because a lot of teams have put centers on him. I mean, they put Gobert on him for a lot of that Utah game, which is pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Very interested to see if they do that with other teams as well. I mean, you put like your center on the guy, on Russell Westbrook, and you just sort of try to keep Houston from taking a ton of threes, especially open threes. And you say, okay, let Russell get his 40, but we're going to shut everyone else down.
I think the trick with them is to put on Westbrook like a mobile big man, like someone who can move his feet, like Jeremy Grant, so that he can stay in front of Westbrook most of the time, but he can also gap off and recover, and just enough to make a somewhat contested jump shot. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Yeah, like you want a mobile 4, really.
Yeah, you don't want to give him the full Tony Allen treatment because he can still hit mid-range shots. But if you have a guy who can put a hand in his face on mid-range shots and then just leave him on threes, that's my game plan for Russ.
Yeah, and I think the biggest issue going into the playoffs is once the playoffs starts and the intensity ratchets up, and you have guys like PJ Tucker and Covington playing 38 minutes a game, if one of those guys gets injured, then they are just finished. Because they're not going to be able to switch from doing what they're doing to playing a traditional big and switching back over to that style because it's just not going to work. And they don't really have anybody else to replace those guys.
They have one guy. They have Daniel House. House plays a lot of big man minutes for them, oddly enough. But I guess he is like 6'7" or something. He's a big guy.
He's pretty bulky, too, so he's been able to guard the post as well. Harden's really good at guarding the post, too.
Yeah, they're all good at guarding it, but it's more like everything else around it. Bossing out, rebounding, that kind of stuff. Helping out on any bigs that come through, any cutters. Like, they're not trained. I don't know, it'll be interesting to see this Houston team, but yeah, like, if Westbrook's not able to hit his jumper, if Harden collapses like he does every other year, then what's the whole point? Obviously, you know?
But I applaud them for going for it, because, like, if they played with Capella and they lost again, like, you're gonna be like, oh, what was different? Like, yes, obviously you have Russell Westbrook, but like this was like a huge change in terms of their style. And once you got rid of Chris Paul, once you got rid of Chris Paul, like, you were like, okay, the big man isn't as useful in this system.
Yeah, oddly enough.
So did they go for it, or did they just try to get underneath the tax?
Why
I
not
think
both?
what's sort of being lost under this is, like, I think that this is a cost-cutting move too. And was it more cost-cutting, or was it more, them trying to go as small as possible?
I think both happened, like, at the same time. Like, they're like, we don't want to lose with Capella sitting on the, like, playing 25 minutes a game and being one of the team's bigger earners, and we rather try something different and lose that way. And at least we said we went for it instead of losing kind of the similar way that they have in the last 1 or 2 years.
Who did they trade Caboclo for? Or for Caboclo?
Jordan Bell.
Oh, right, Jordan Bell. Yeah. Jordan Bell is making a few more, right?
Yeah, I do want to see Bruno play the 5.
Oh, that'd be great.
That'd be incredible.
They're gonna save him for the playoffs. They're gonna unleash him.
Save him.
Oh man,
his body can't take that much of a beating.
yeah. I just gotta say, we also forgot about Eric Gordon. So they have 2 guys that can really step up: Ben McLemore and Daniel House Jr. Because I think Gordon's gonna end up being a starter or coming off the bench.
Yeah, McLemore's not stepping up. Sorry, he's gonna set up.
I don't think McLemore is the guy you can trust in the playoffs. So you have basically 6 guys again, and then you get to the playoffs, and that's a D'Antoni team right there. Because most of D'Antoni's playoff teams, he plays like 6 or 7 guys, and then by the 3rd round, if he makes it there, they're just dead.
Yeah, I trust Duncan Robinson more than Ben McLemore.
No, 100%.
Since we are quickly approaching All-Star Weekend, I want to throw our picks out there, guys. For your skills competition, we have Bam Adebayo, Patrick Beverley, former winner, Spencer Dinwiddie, Canadian Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, Chris Middleton, Domantas Sabonis, Toronto Raptor, Pascal Siakam, Jason Tatum, and Derrick Rose? I think he was replaced by somebody, right? Sexton?
He's been replaced. I'm not sure who the name was. It might have been Sexton.
I'm pretty sure it was Sexton. Anyways, who do you guys think is gonna win this thing?
Yeah, I'm gonna throw in my the pick here. I'm gonna say, this is tough. I have 2 guys that I think are gonna be in the running. It's gonna be either Spencer Dinwiddie or Patrick Beverley, but I'm gonna say Spencer Dinwiddie.
I actually have Beverly winning it again because he's in his hometown of Chicago. He's going to have his people there. He's going to want to show out. And the other guy I was thinking of is Siakam. I think Siakam's going to be really quick around, the pylons, and just a matter if he hits a shot. So I got either Beverly or Siakam.
I'm going with Jason Tatum. How about that? No, I'm going to go with Sabonis.
Oof.
Slow and steady wins the race.
You have to hit a 3, though.
Is it a 3 or a mid-range? A 3?
Mid-range.
Pretty sure. A mid-range? Okay.
Yeah, it's like between the foul line and the 3. Yeah.
Okay.
I wanted to pick Bam, but there's no way he hits that shot consistently. No, I'm lying. I'm going Tatum. Final pick.
Tatum. All right. Lock in.
Tatum's got that mid-range game down. All right. This is the more important one. The 3-point contest. Davis Bertans from Washington. Devontae Graham. Instagram from Charlotte. Joe Harris, your favorite white guy from Brooklyn. Buddy Hield, now our bench player in Sacramento. The hometown kid, Zach LaVine. Not actually hometown, but he plays there. Damian Lillard, who's obviously going to be replaced. The guy who we've talked about all day so far, apparently. Duncan Robinson from Miami. And then everyone's favorite young point guard, Trae Young.
So, have we received clarification as to how that 30-footer is going to work?
No idea how this is going to go.
Yeah, I think the way it works is there's going to be 2 spots where you get double the points, if I'm not wrong.
So it's 2 spots instead of 1?
No, like you get 2 shots, I think. I'll search this, but you guys give in your picks.
No, I'm pretty sure it's 1 spot from each side. So you know how in what's that old timer league? Big 3. You know how they have that 4-point spot like on the wings where where Lillard and like Steph always pull up from? It's there. And that's I don't know
so they've replaced the normal rack with the 30-footer just on the wing on both sides.
No. You have all 5 normal racks, and then these are 2 additional shots, from what I understand. And there's extra time.
Okay, so you go from the corner to the wing to the 30-footer, and you shoot 2 shots there?
Yeah, so say you start on the left corner. You go left corner, left wing, left 30-footer, middle, right 30-footer, right wing.
And the 30-footer, you take 2 shots, or you take the full rack?
1 on each. 1 shot.
1 on each.
On each side.
And they're 3 points each.
3 points each. Okay, that sucks.
Yeah,
this whole thing sucks.
Yeah, I'm reading from the NBA.com. So basically, there's going to be 2 extra green balls that are set up 6 feet behind the 3-point line, and those shots will be worth 3 points. So the maximum possible score is now 40, and every player will get an additional 10 seconds to complete their shot. So now it's going to be a 70-second.
Yuck.
Okay, so regular 3-pointers are worth 1, money balls are worth 2, and then the 30-footers worth 3.
Yes.
Yeah. There's still the rack of money balls as well?
Yeah. So there's still there's 5 racks. Yeah. And there's gonna be 5 balls in each. And 4 of the balls are gonna be the 1 point, and then each one's gonna have a money ball, like the classic.
Except one rack. One rack is full of money balls.
Oh, so there is still a rack.
I think there's still a rack full of money balls.
Yeah, and the player gets to choose which rack that is.
Yeah,
you know what? I sort of like it. I know that people are not going to like it going into this, but I like adding the 30-footer since so many guys take it now. I think that's interesting.
Yeah, I
don't like the rack of money balls. I hate that.
You do?
Yeah, I don't like it. What was wrong with it?
You can pick your specific spot that you shoot really well at, and you can gain an advantage that way.
Hey, how about you just be a good shooter all around, Josh? You ever think of that? Did Larry Bird ever have a money ball rack? Come on.
That's true.
Did Peja? Peja didn't have his stash or a money ball rack. 2-time winner. How about that?
But the great thing is you could kind of calculate what his score would have been if they had the money ball rack, but you don't know if that would have been the rack they would have chose.
Yeah, exactly. You're not going to change history, obviously. I don't know. I think it's lame. Anyways, I'm going with Duncan Robinson because I want to pick a white guy.
That was my initial pick, actually, but I'm going to go with Bertans.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Joe Harris. I'm going to go with the reigning champ here.
Wow, I like how none of us picked Trae Young. The guy who actually pulls up from like 4 feet away from the half-court line.
But I think he's a dribble. I don't know if he's
yeah.
He's off his dribble. That's a different shot.
I was going to say the same thing with like him and Graham. They both need to like dribble a few times into their shot.
Yeah, true. No one's going to pick Graham to win this. Come on. Who do you think replaces Damian Lillard? Like Booker?
I think that they should just give Booker whatever responsibilities Lillard was going to have this weekend, including singing at the All-Star game. Let Booker sing the song.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, that'd be a fair consolation prize for him.
Yeah, he earned his All-Star position by singing a song. I like it. All right, our dunk contest contestants? Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Remember when the dunk contest used to be the best one on Saturday nights, and now nobody really cares about it?
I was saying, unless, Levine and Gordon earn it together, I mean, that dunk contest is amazing. But outside of that, the last 20 years have sucked.
Yeah, that was 4 years ago.
I'm just going to say, like, I feel the dunk contest only having 4 people is also, like,
trash.
It's not how I remember growing up watching the dunk contest. And I remember there being, like, at least 6 people or whatnot.
It's trash with 4 people. It's too quick.
It's too quick, and the 3-point contest is actually just more entertaining. That's like my favorite event of the night.
Yeah, I remember when we were younger, I used to love the 3-point contest over the dunk contest. And I was like the only person, obviously, because back in those days you actually had good dunkers. But still, like the 3-point contest has always been consistently good. It's always based on skill. There's nothing subjective about it. With this dunk contest, it's like, like you have Nate Duncan not Nate Duncan, Nate Robinson spending like 12 attempts, 15 attempts. Birdman did the same thing. It got so gimmicky.
I'm going to fix the dunk contest. So what I would do is I would implement a rule where if you miss twice, your turn is over. That's first. And second, you have to bring in somebody from outside the NBA, like one of those professional dunkers, to go against these guys. So these guys actually step their game up, because these guys do it for a living and their dunks are going to be incredible. And that'll bring a level of flair and, excitement to the dunk contest that hasn't really been there in a while overall. I mean, obviously the Levine-Gordon one was different. But I think if you bring somebody from the outside that's going to make these guys step it up a little bit and try, more elaborate original dunks instead of doing the same retreads. I mean, you have Dwight Howard and, Derek Jones Jr. and Connaughton. I mean, come on. Connaughton's not going to win. But having the retreads in this that are just going to try the same types of dunks, I mean, there's no level of excitement. You need somebody else in the actual tournament, in the actual dunk contest, that is going to be able to bring these guys level up. And I think bringing somebody from the outside in is the way to go. We've changed the 3-point competition a couple times. Why can't we change the dunk competition?
Yeah, I'm all for that. I think it'd be amazing to have 4 guys from the NBA have dunks, and then also have like kind of a freestyle dunk competition with 4 of the best fan voted dunks from people outside of the NBA or players who are
you bring them there. You bring them there to perform.
No, you bring them, but like you vote them in, right? And then you have the 4 best from the NBA.
Don't vote them in. You have these guys do a competition on their own terms.
Yeah, fine.
Right?
Sure.
Like you set up, remember, I think it was last year, 2 years ago, the NBA actually did like a Sprite sponsored competition or something where they actually had like a bunch of these street ball dunkers have their own competition, and then like they earned like $100,000 prize or whatever. But if you have those guys competing for a chance to compete in this against actual NBA players, ooh,
yeah, and
so much better.
And the great thing is you'd have the 4 NBA guys going against their counterparts, and then you'd have the 4 freestyle dunkers, and then you'd have 1 dunker from each at the end.
Yeah,
for like a one dunk, like dunk off.
Or you would only bring in maybe 1 or 2 guys from outside the NBA. I think like if the G League Showcase is also on the same weekend, which I'm not sure if it is or not, I think you have the competition to get into the NBA dunk contest in that competition that, that gathers more viewership and eyes. on the G League showcase, right? More people will watch that, and, more people will see these, high-level basketball players, but also the dunk competition as well.
Yeah, anyways, we're all saying that there needs to be more people and non-NBA players. That's
And
pretty
get
much
Dwight
the
Howard out of
gist of it.
More
And
excitement.
not have a guy who participated 12 years ago be in this. 12 years ago. What
The worst
hell?
part about it is we're going to get Aaron Gordon doing a flashback to an Aaron Gordon dunk from 2016. And Dwight Howard doing a tribute to a 2008 dunk contest.
Yeah.
Pat Connaughton doing an original dunk for the first time in his life.
Yo, Pat Connaughton has... Oh my god. The guy's got haw. We all know this.
He does, but does he have creativity?
No, and he also doesn't have the kind of hang time you need for a dunk contest. He doesn't have long wingspan where you actually need to do tricks with. You know what I mean? Like, his body isn't built for this type of dunk contest. He's a great in-game dunker. Don't get me wrong. Like, this guy flies. I don't want to see him in a dunk contest, though. I'm picking Derek Jones Jr., obviously. I think everyone is going to.
What? No, I'm picking Aaron Gordon.
You're crazy.
Derek Jones Jr. is a really good in-game dunker because he gets so high and he comes out of nowhere for these, put-back dunks. But he's been in the dunk contest before, right? And he didn't really do well. So I don't know if he's that creative.
This is Aaron Gordon's third time.
But he's also, the most well-known name. I mean, Dwight Howard is overall, but in terms of, dunking, I think that he's the most well-known name, and that's going to get him, higher grades, I think.
He brought a drone last time. Remember that? Come on, man. I'm out on Aaron Gordon winning this. I love the guy's game, but come on, man. You brought a drone, and you didn't even use it properly. You just had to drop it? Come on.
I want to see Aaron Gordon come in just as high as he was when he went on NBA on TNT, the post-game show.
Yeah, that would be great. Have these guys smoke a lot of weed before and then let them dunk.
Absolutely.
That I would be in on. Raj, who you got?
As a giant FU to all of you, I'm going to say Derek Jones Jr. I couldn't say it.
I thought Raj was going to pick a full lineup of white guys for tonight.
Yeah, that would be something. Spencer Dinwiddie, Joe Harris, and Pat Connaughton, yeah.
I just hope that somebody surprises us with a new dunk that we haven't seen. That's all I'm hoping for.
I hope they bring back Vince. They already bring back Dwight.
We haven't brought that up yet. How is Vince Carter not in the All-Star game?
Because he hasn't declared that he's going to retire.
He did.
He
No,
did.
he didn't.
Yeah, he did.
When?
He said this was his last year.
Oh, shit. Whatever.
Brought in that spot last year, 2 spots actually for Dirk and Wade, so why not Vince Carter?
Because those guys are bigger legacies than Vince, man.
Yeah, but Vince has played, he's had a Hall of Fame career, so
seasons.
I don't see why you wouldn't for He's 53 now?
Yeah, give or take. I'm pretty sure he's a
League at 18.
grandfather.
Yeah.
Imagine that, a grandfather in the NBA. That'd be wicked.
Well, LeBron's going to be that guy. LeBron's still going to be in the league when his grandkids come in.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, I don't know. They should bring in Vince, but it's kind of hard. Last year it worked so well because they had one guy from the East and the West between Dirk and Dwayne Wade. They should be Vince and...
Oh, it doesn't matter. Just add him in as the 13th guy. Who cares?
Oh, they care. Maybe they will. Maybe it'll be a last-minute addition.
Hope so.
Yeah.
One last thing. I know we're going to wrap up soon, but I got to ask. If you had to place a bet, who's going to bring back Vince for the dunk contest as a tribute to him?
Oh.
Someone is, because it's 20 years
Yeah.
after his famous, and then also it's his final year. I wouldn't be surprised if someone does the through the legs dunk over him or something like that.
I mean, if they do that, then they're automatic winner. Imagine doing that kind of dunk over somebody. Oh,
That'd
my
be
goodness.
insane. Because he's so corny, I'm saying Dwight is going to pull out a Vince jersey, at least.
Oh, he's going to
Or
bring
you know
Kobe
what?
for sure.
No, Dwight's going to... Yeah, he's going to wear Kobe's, and then he's going to slap a picture of Vince onto the backboard like he did his own face years ago. How about that?
That's how Dwight's going to win this. He's going to wear, all Kobe attire throughout the entire dunk contest.
Oh, of course.
And everyone's going to be like,
Yeah.
oh, wow, that's so great that Dwight is doing this. I
And-
know Kobe called him soft.
I wouldn't even be surprised if Dwight just does straight up Kobe dunks. Literally, like, replays the whole thing. Like, gets
Yeah.
defenders in there and everything.
He's gonna mean mug like Kobe afterwards.
Then Dwight's gonna do the snarl that Kobe used to do.
The underbite snarl.
He's gonna do the fist pump too.
Yeah.
That'd be great. I'm not
Jump
gonna
on
lie.
the
If he did that,
scoreboard.
I would vote for him. Yeah.
Jump on the
All right.
scoreboard after he wins.
Oh.
Gets down on the ground and starts praying after every dunk.
Nah, you killed it, man. Sorry.
Too far.
Yeah, you ruined it. Jesus, come on. All right, I want to thank everyone for listening. Please remember to rate and subscribe.
What happened to Stats Corner?
Oh my God, you have Stats Corner? My bad. Okay, start it up.
So this year, who are the most effective post-up players in terms of points per possession? So give me the top 5. Let's see how you guys do. This is minimum 200 post-ups, by the way.
Jokic.
Jokic is not in the top 5.
Sabonis.
Nope.
Embiid?
Embiid is number 3 at 1.14 points per possession on post-ups.
Let me
There's 2 very obvious ones, and the other one's...
Anthony Davis.
Well, there's one other somewhat obvious one.
Anthony Davis.
No, sir.
Whoa.
Is LeBron?
No.
LeBron is number 1 at 1.2.
What?
Yo, he's big, man.
LeBron doesn't post up enough.
Okay, how about this? JV?
Jonas is not in there.
Wow.
Oof.
Giannis.
Giannis also not in there.
Huh. Who else are we
So
missing
you
that's
said-
so obvious?
Who's the best offensive big man in the NBA?
Jokic.
The other one. The other one who plays no defense.
Cat?
Yes, number 2 at 1.15.
Yo, he hasn't played enough games, man. Come on. This guy sits out to play Fortnite. It doesn't count. Alright, how many?
The other one's an old school player who still takes way too many mid-range jumpers.
Taj Gibson.
Mid-range?
Yeah, he's known for the
LaMarcus.
mid-range. Yes, number 5 at
LaMarcus.
1.05.
Wait, who is that?
LaMarcus Aldridge.
Yes, my man.
And the last one is in the Western Conference on a non-playoff team who I like to hate on a lot because he has a terrible contract.
Is it Harrison Barnes?
Harrison Barnes at 1.10.
Woo!
Whoa. Good pull.
Killer.
He still sucks.
No, he's great. Look at that list. To be in the company of LeBron James, you have Harrison Barnes and LaMarcus Aldridge. Ooh.
Joel Embiid.
Ooh.
The main reason why I wanted to bring the stat up is because I saw an article yesterday that said Harrison Barnes is not going to shave until the Kings are 500 again. So Harrison Barnes looking like Tom Hanks in Castaway in about 2 months.
He's doing the playoff beard, and it's not the playoffs.
Oh my God. Yeah. It's not even.
I mean, he's not going to be able to shave for at least, 2 years?
Look at a year and a half at least.
0
He's
500.
True. He's doing a 500 beard. That's amazing. All right, are we good now, Josh?
We are good now.
All right. I want to thank everyone for listening to Stats Corner once again. Please remember to rate and subscribe on iTunes. Hit us up on Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, Anchor, all the major podcast platforms. You can find us on Instagram and Twitter at Stretch4Pod. And until next time, peace.